Okay, we're on Pesachim, Perek Bet, Mishnah Zayin. 7th Mishnah in the 2nd chapter of Pesachim. Just making sure the microphone is still hopefully recording. We know that when you have the possibility of chametz on Pesach, we are extremely meticulous not to make sure that we don't have a problem of chametz on Pesach. You know, we don't bring any flour into our houses, and etc., etc. Remember, we're dealing with prepared foods. When they had to prepare, they couldn't prepare bread in advance. There was no way to save it. Their matzah was not the hard cracker matzah. They had to cook. They had to prepare things as time went along, even on Pesach itself, which obviously leads to the possibility of great complication. Our Mishnah deals with, very briefly, certain precautions that you have to take in order to prevent something from becoming chametz on Pesach. Says the Mishnah, "Ein shorin et hamursan letarnagoli." Mursan is bran. What is bran? Bran is, like a Wikipedia, bran, okay, is the hard outer layers of the cereal grain. Along with germ, it is an integral part of whole grains and is a byproduct of milling in the production of refined grains. When you crush the grain, you get the white stuff, right? The white stuff becomes the flour, and the bran is the stuff on the outside. So nowadays we have whole grains, we crush it, etc., etc. Back then, what would they do with the mursan, the bran? It's very hard to digest. They would give it to the chickens. And the way they would get the chickens to eat it was shorim, means to soak them. They would soak the bran in water, and then they would give it as feed to the chickens. So you're not allowed to do that on Pesach, obviously, because there's obviously tiny bits of grain, tiny bits of flour that's still stuck to the wheat, and it's going to become Pesach. Aval cholti, but you can boil it. And something else they would do is they would boil the bran. Okay, why? How can you boil it? You can boil it in hot water. As long as it's still hot, it can't become chametz. Nowadays, we don't mess around. We don't boil it in hot water either. We don't do a lot of things nowadays. Similarly, I don't know how they do this, but obviously they would use the mursan, they would soak it and take it with her to the merchatz as a kind of soap. It was like, I guess if you take the bran and it makes like a little poof or whatever, and you could use it to clean off your body. So you shouldn't do that on Pesach for the same reason. But she can lashuf, means to rub on her body when it's yavesh, when the mursan, when the bran is still dry. I guess it was a scrubbing agent. They didn't have plastic poofs. Similarly, lo yil'os adam chitim. A person shouldn't chew chitim, wheat kernels. V'yanich al makato bePesach, and then he chew the wheat kernels and make a sort of like bandage and stick it on his makah instead of a band-aid. Why? Because obviously they have the ability, because once it's in you add water, you add liquid, you add spit, then it becomes chametz. So all of these things are precautions that a person should take in order to not allow the grain to become chametz on Pesach. We'll stop here, and if you have any comments or questions, you can email me. I will dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha Yitzchak Kalman.